Hi, I'm Greg from the Culinary Sherpas. Today we're making French onion soup in the middle of summer. Why? Because it's been raining for 3 freaking weeks and it won't stop. It feels like winter outside. So we're going to make some soup. If anybody can tell me what the main ingredient in French onion soup is, I'll get you $5. If you guessed onions, you're right, your check's in the mail, and I love you. Okay, we're going to start out with about 5 cloves of garlic here. I'm just going to slice them very thin. They don't have to be minced. They're going to cook low and slow, and they're pretty much going to dissolve in with the onions. One more and we're ready to go here. Alright, now for your onions, you want to get a nice sweet onion. Something like this Vidalia sweet here. It's pronounced Vidalia, not Vidalia. And any real white onion will work. You don't want to go with a yellow onion, but the higher the sugar in the onion, the sweeter your soup is going to be. We've got 4 of these, and we're going to be spending some time chopping. I'll see you in a little bit. We've got our onions chopped. As you can see, that's quite a bit of onion right there. Best way to make sure that you don't end up crying while chopping that many onions is to have a really sharp knife. There's lots of old wives' tales about how to not cry. Honestly, the best and easiest way to not have these things burn your eyes is to use a really sharp knife. Now in our pot here, we've got just a little bit of olive oil. We're going to add our onions. We're going to add our garlic. Just get all these slid in here. And we're going to cook these for a long time over low heat. We want to get them nice and caramelized and bring out all the natural sugars that are in these onions. That's the real basis of a great French onion soup. Just a few more and we'll be done with this. One more piece. Okay. We're going to leave this over low heat, no more than number 3 on your electric stove. We'll add a little bit of salt and pepper to this, and we'll let it go for about an hour to an hour and a half until all these things are cooked down into just a nice sweet brown mess. In the beginning, make sure that you come by your pan and give it a good stir about every 10 minutes or so. As time goes on, we're going to be stirring this a little more frequently, but we want to make sure that we don't have a bunch of onions stopped at the bottom that's getting brown and burnt, and the top of your onions are just sitting here doing nothing. Just want to make sure that everybody gets equal time at the bottom of the pot, because the bottom of the pot is okay. These onions have been cooking for about half an hour now, and you can see that they are getting very soft and kind of melted. You can see the garlic kind of dissolving into things. One might think that this is ready to go, but no, it is not. You haven't seen any browning happening on these onions yet. See all this water that's collecting around the edges of the pan? Well, that's the water that's cooking out of the onions as they're slowly dissolving, and onions are composed of mostly water. In order to get these brown, we've got to cook all this water off, because the browning can't happen with water in the pan. So we're going to let this go for another half hour or so, and hopefully we'll be seeing some browning action. Okay, so here we are about an hour later. All the water's cooked out of these onions and they've gotten nice and brown. Remember when the level of the onions was up here? Well, it cooked down to this much. So don't think that 4 onions is an overkill to make soup. At this point we're going to turn the heat up. We're going to add some red wine. Probably about half a cup. And then we're going to grab some fresh thyme, as I've chopped up already so I didn't have to bore you. We're going to add that. And we're going to cook this until the red wine reduces by about half. Meaning, we've put about a half a cup in, we want to have about a quarter of a cup left in the pot. See, by kicking up the heat, we've managed to get that at a boil pretty quickly. And in about a minute or so, we're going to add some beef stock. Just your average everyday beef stock. I know, shame on me, I should have made my own. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to do that. So, I went to the store. You can see that bubbling away, and the whole purpose of reducing this is just to intensify the flavor of the wine. If we were to add half a cup of wine and beef stock, then we taste like half a cup of wine and beef stock. Now we taste like half a cup of wine and all of its flavor cooked down to far less. And if things don't move fast enough for you, you can always squeeze the box like I am. So you've got a nice amount of onions to a nice amount of broth. You'll be able to get onions in every bite of your soup. And we're going to let this cook for about another 20 minutes. Okay, to make the crouton, it's a very difficult process. We've got a chunk of day-old bread here. I'm just going to coat one side with a little olive oil, the other side with a little olive oil, and we'll put it into a 350 degree oven for about 10 minutes. Beef stock's been simmering for about 20 minutes with the onions and the red wine and the fresh thyme. All we really want to do here is marry the flavors, get the flavors of the onions and the wine infused with the stock, so that it's a whole complete soup and it's not just some flavors here and some flavors there. You can actually taste the difference if you really want to experiment and make some bad soup. To finish this off, we're just going to season it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Always, always, always make sure that you season your food. We're going to ladle the soup into some bowls here. Alright, now that we've got the soup in the bowl, we're going to put a crouton on top. We got some really nice smoked Gruyere here, and we're going to cover the crouton with Gruyere. Now, if you're like my wife, she doesn't like the crouton. She finds the texture just horrible. So we're going to put some Gruyere right on the soup. The whole purpose of the crouton is to really keep the soup from falling down, keep the cheese from falling down into the soup. But each their own. You don't have to. Top the Gruyere. I've got some grated Parmesan. I'll sprinkle a nice coating of that. And we're ready to finish this off. Got the oven set to broil, and we're going to move our tray here into the oven. Always do this on a baking sheet, because if you don't, you are inevitably going to spill soup into your oven. Then you've got a mess to clean up. Alright, here we go. Our cheese is browned. We've got a screaming hot pan. Set this down. A little more gracefully than that usually. You take our screaming hot bowls, moving them onto the plate with maybe a little extra bread. Look at that caramelization on the cheese. That's some serious potage.